Mondays on the feet, but nonetheless, always important to roll those feet. So we're going to take the ball from the ball of your foot, right? So if you imagine the palm of your hand, the ball of your foot to the heel of your foot, inside edge, think of your thumb side as your arch, outside edge, all the way on the outside. Those three zones, find it, roll it, front, back, side to side, maybe little circles. So I want you to, number one, start to tune into your body, listen to what it needs. Okay? Probably the most important part of this class. And second is your breath, right? Especially if you just finished my class, you want to bring that breathing rate back down. Big inhales and exhales. And also pay attention to the feet. Where are their tight spots? Okay, because we're going to go back and target those spots that seem tight in just a few seconds here. All right, so rolling a little bit with the toes pulled up, a little bit with the toes in that neutral position. Good. All right, so now we're going to polka dot. So same foot. Try to go back to the spots that you felt a little bit of tightness in. For me, it was down by my heel today. I'm going to push down, hold, and then move my toes around as I hold that. Okay, so what we're doing is pinning the trigger point, and then we're stretching out of that space. Okay, so push down, hold, move, and I'm next to the wall. I've got my hand on the wall. I'm not leaning into the wall. I'm just there so I can kind of focus on what's going on my feet. I don't have to worry about losing my balance as well. So if you have the wall, go ahead and use it. And we're just polka dotting this first side. Big inhales and exhales. And just a few more on this side. Good. Now, same foot, and I want you to take the ball. You can't really see it from that angle, but here, if this was the ball of my foot, I'm going to put the ball right behind it. Okay, so right behind the ball. And we're just going to do a simple cross. So I'm going to roll, take the big toe inside, then roll out. So we've done this before, talking about how a lot of that roll will start out in the hip. And we want to see if we can take as much of that roll as we can into the ankle. It's very controlled here. Our ankle is a mobile joint. We want it to be mobile. We don't want it to be stiff. So we're working on that mobility, but we're also doing a little cross friction on the plantar fascia there, right below the ball of the foot. Big inhales and exhales. Remember, you're in charge of how much pressure you're putting into these spaces. Do what you need to do. You know, if you think you can handle a little bit more, try it. You can always back off. Good, and 30 more seconds. So you can stay here with this roll. You can go back to the stripping. You can go back to the pin stretch, whatever you want. We're going to spend 30 more seconds on this foot. Good, and then shake out that side, okay? And just shift one foot to the other. How does the side you just rolled feel compared to the side you haven't touched yet, okay? Just feel the difference. What's going on in your feet? What's going on in the ankle? What's going up in the legs, hips, even the glutes? All right, and then let's take it back, or sorry, let's switch it, other foot. So we start with that, what we call stripping, right? Rolling back and forth between the heel of the foot, ball of the foot. I'm doing a vertical pattern. You can try a little cross friction. We are going to do that later, right? Maybe little circles. Whatever feels good to you. Big inhales and exhales. Good. Just a little bit more here. And again, paying attention to where there might be tight spots. On this foot, it was down by my heel. On this foot, I can feel a couple here, right back there in the arch. So that's what I'm going to target here as we go into polka dotting. Push down, hold, wiggle the toes, and then come off. Push down, hold, wiggle the toes, and then come off. Good. And always my motto, but especially in this class, do what you need. Listen to your body, give it what it needs. So if that means you don't have much going on this foot, you want to go back to the first foot, please, please, please do. Use this time, this space, this all kind of strange world we're in right now to help yourself kind of recenter on yourself. You have the opportunity, go ahead and do it. You're working at home by yourself. Take advantage of that time to really reconnect with your body. See what it needs, see what you can do as well. Good. So after the polka dotting, we did that rolling, right? And I've got the ball just below the ball of the foot. Okay, big toe in, pinky toe out, big toe in, pinky toe out. Ball should be just traveling from one side to the other. Okay, again, a lot of that movement's going to start in the leg. See if you can get some of it or most of it happen down in that ankle. Rolling side to side. Good, okay. And then last 30 seconds, right, on this foot, and you can stay with that roll side to side. You can go back to polka dotting. You can go back to the first foot, whatever you need. Remember, use your breath. Rolling should never take your breath away, should never make you go, right? If it's doing that, you've gone too deep. You need to back off with that pressure. Good. Okay, so do a little side to side shuffle here. See how that second side feels now. Should feel different, should be more awake alert. All right, we're just going to do a brief little stretch of the feet and calves, hands on the wall. You can see my, let's turn it down here. I got all 10 toes pointed forward, back foot, toes into the floor, heel up to the ceiling. I'm going to push off as if I'm going to take off running. My tailbone is tucked, my hips press forward. I'm stretching the bottom of that foot. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now I'm going to flip it. Top of the toes into the floor, so they're going down, but my front of the ankle is going forward. 3 breaths. Good, now we're going to flip it so the heel is on the floor. We're going to press the heel down, press the hip forward. Go ahead and push into the wall here. Now take the knee, keep the heel on the floor, take the knee down towards the toes. Feeling that stretch into the Achilles space. 3 breaths. Good, come on up. Switch sides. We're going to start with the bottom of the foot stretch. So toes pointed forward. Give it a glance. Make sure they're pointed forward. Push up, lift, hold. Good. Flip it. Toes into the floor. Kick forward, hold. And then heel down, pushing forward, knee straight to start. Now take that knee with the heel still in the floor. Take the knee down towards the toes. Good. All right. So we're going to go up the chain. We're going to go right into the hips today. Spend just a little time in the hips, and then we're going to spend a little bit more time in upper body. So we're going to glute max first, lower hips, putting the ball right in that space, and just doing a little, I've got kind of a diagonal pattern going here from my tailbone out to that ball and socket joint, okay? And then remember that ball and socket joint, you can feel it in there. See if you can kind of trace a circle around that ball and socket joint. All right, a little side to side, a little trace around. And just alternate between the two sides. All right, again, we're in that lower glute space, so the bigger part of your bum here, those big glute muscles, we don't want them to contract and relax the way they should. We don't want them to be underused, but we also don't want them to be tight all the time either, because that just leads to weakness in those tissues as well. So we want to find that balance. We want those muscles to work properly and that they can contract and relax. Good. All right, so next up, high glute space. So find that pelvis, right, the rim of it. Put the ball right below the rim. And again, go from tailbone out to that outer hip space. I'm right below the rim of the pelvis, but you can move the ball just a little, not even a quarter of a roll down, and kind of explore the space down until about here. So if you have yoga pants on, they're actually really helpful because they have that, usually have that wide kind of waistband to them. And they usually kind of map out what that exactly the, I guess the height of that glute med space is. You can kind of use the seams as a little bit of a guideline. But if you take from the rim of your pelvis about a ball's width down, that's the area we want to target for glute med as well, right? So take it from on both sides, just alternating, spending time on both, but spending time where you need. So focus on the back here, because we're going to go into the side body a little bit next and stretch out of that space. Okay, so next up, and you're going to do this in the wall, but I'm going to put the ball, so same thing, here's the rim of my pelvis. I'm going to put the ball here. I'm going to bring it down. This is my ball and socket joint, so maybe take it a little bit forward. We're just going to kind of explore this whole space in here. All right, we already did the back side, so think about from where you ended. Come forward a little bit, all the way into kind of where that hip crease is. I'm going to put the ball there. So now we're sideways to the wall a little bit more. Again, kind of edge underneath the rim of that pelvis. Take the ball down a little bit. Work back and forth in that space as well. Now, if you find any tight spots here, push and hold. So that's our pin. Take your arm up to the ceiling. So this is the arm against the wall. I'm taking it up to the ceiling and I'm reaching away. So as I push the ball into the wall, I'm reaching my hand away. 3 breaths. This is my stretch. Pin and stretch here. Good. And come back down. Try the other side. Again, sideways on. Maybe a little bit here in that hip crease space. If you can nuzzle the ball in there, and it kind of looks like you're kissing the wall a little bit, just like when we roll the chest. All right, so explore that. Staying off of that ball and socket joint, but tracing around it is fine. A lot of interconnections, crisscross tissues in that space around the hip. Okay, so here, Got a tight spot right here. I'm gonna push, hold. My inside arm is the one that I'm gonna take up to the ceiling, and then I'm gonna take it away and hold that stretch. Good. Okay, so now coming up, again, finding the top of your pelvis, and then finding those ropey muscles, those extensors, right? So if you think of the rim of your pelvis as the bottom of the L, the horizontal line of the L, and your spinal extensors being the vertical line of the L, let's try to find the base or the 90-degree angle of that L, and then roll up. So right next to the spine, those extensors are pretty thick, right? They're pretty ropey. So you should be able to just nestle the ball right up against those without touching the spine. So this, and here's our extensors. We also have that QL muscle in there that tends to get super, super tight. Very kind of a pain in the butt. It's a very sensitive QL muscle in there, especially if you have a history of hip or back problems. So I'm just going to kind of vertical up and down, traveling the space between that last rib and the top of my pelvis. Right, and I encourage you just to switch sides here. Start with the ball in that angle, right? That 90-degree angle of your L, and then find that horizontal, up, down. Just got that ball nuzzled up. See if you can kind of get those extensor muscles if they're really, really tight to just release just a little bit. Right, you can take that ball out on that horizontal pattern if you want, just a little bit. And that ball settling just above, right? So this is my hip crease, this is my hip pelvis. Ball settling just above, right? And then up and down are those extensors. So just about 30 more seconds in this space. Spend time on what you need, and then we're going to move up the chain a little bit into the upper back. Good. All right, so next bony landmark, and I'm going to move my camera up a little bit. You can see, okay, see my shoulder blade moving in there, right? So right at the base of that, we're going to put the ball right in that space. My shoulder blade kind of comes to the bottom in this shape, but just try to trace around the bottom of them as much as you can, coming to the outside. So if you think of it almost like a little V shape, U shape, so you can get that ball kind of tracing the bottom of your shoulder blade. All right, and then on the outside, you can take it right into the space all the way up to the bottom of your armpit there, right? Roll in a little bit up and down, a little side to side. Dig into that space. You can take your arm up overhead. That changes, right, where that shoulder blade is sitting. So if you take that reach up and over, you might find a little bit more areas to dig into on that side. Good, and let's go alternate sides. So stay in that lower space. So think of the bottom of your shoulder blade, up the side of it, up to the bottom of the armpit, right in there, on both sides, right? So I should be spending a little time on that second side right now. And what you might notice as you go through here, right? Your lat muscles are big, wingy muscles that come down and attach, right? What do they connect to? The muscles we just rolled, those extensors, right? The QL. things connected here in that rib hip space. Remember we talked about wanting those muscles to fully contract and relax. So in this space is where we get into not only moving the shoulders, but what's going on through our rib cage, our diaphragm. Are we allowing those muscles, especially those diaphragm muscles, to really work? Are we using that diaphragm? Or are we just taking our breath here in our chest instead of using that diaphragm and belly space? All these things are things to investigate, try out. I encourage you to definitely spend time with your breath every day. So when we come out of this, at some point, you just have better awareness and more connectivity to what's going on, especially with those deep inner muscles in your body. All right, enough of my lecture for today. Let's take it up to that space. So we ended just below the armpit. Let's take it right behind the shoulder, kind of right above the armpit, and just rolling in that space. And then from there, you can take it right onto the side. So this is your deltoid, right? So we can explore this space and then right onto the side of that shoulder, doing some real rolls. So this is the pattern I'm doing on the wall right now. And kind of rolling front to back. And targeting both sides. All right, so we're just gonna take a couple more minutes here on the upper body, on the wall, rolling. Then we're gonna come down to the mat and stretch. But again, here, as you're rolling, feel, pay attention, what's going on? Do you have a knot, tight spot? If you do, please take note of it, take time to go back and work on it. Okay, now we're gonna take that collarbone, right? Right here, it goes from the shoulder into the neck. Imagine that collarbone's kind of a shelf. You're gonna put that ball on top of the shelf, put your feet away from the wall, and then kind of lean into the wall so that ball is nuzzling. That sounds nice, right? Nuzzling into those tissues. That's your trapezius. That's right above that collarbone. Right? And notice that, I don't know if you can see, but I have my hand rotated open here because that opens up my shoulder. If you find a tight spot here, let's say I find a tight spot here, I'm going to take my ear to my opposite shoulder, but I'm going to do it very slow and controlled. And then come back up. Maybe you'll find another spot, push and hold. Ear to opposite shoulder. This is my pin and stretch. All right, and alternating between sides. Remember, we want that ball kind of resting on the collarbone. That's your shelf. And it's nuzzling right there into the trapezius muscles, going from shoulder to hip. Sorry, shoulder to neck, not shoulder to hip. That would be a trick. Shoulder to neck. Find a tight spot. Maybe doing a little head movement, but everything's slow and controlled. Good. And one more. Front of the chest, pec minor, right? So where the chest muscle connects to the shoulder, right in this space. Right, so we're going to go right in here. Put the ball in there, lean up against the wall. Looks like you're kissing it. Bring your feet away so you can kind of lean into that space as much as you can. Rolling a little side to side, up and down. Whatever feels good. You can take it down a little bit into, right, that glute, or sorry, pec major space if you want. Just play around with it. See what you can find in there. All right, and then after that, do some big shoulder rolls, up, back, down. Feel a new release in there. We're going to finish with a stretch here. So call it a doorway stretch, but all you really need is an edge. I have the edge of the wall here. Hands straight out from my shoulder. And all I'm going to do is walk forward, kind of lean forward until I feel a stretch in the front of my chest, front of my shoulder. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Walk back. You can try bringing your arm up to more of a Y position here, and then coming forward. And you can even take it down low, down towards the hip, or anywhere in between. Okay, so same thing. Just find a corner, doorway, whatever you have. I have a window still here, the edge of a window, holding on to it, right, straight up from the shoulder, walk forward. Make sure your shoulder's not up in your ear here, make sure it's down. And then trying that, kind of that Y position. Good, and again, rolling one shoulder at a time, both. And then find your way to your mat. We're gonna finish up there on the floor. Down there, you need your mat, obviously. If you have your pillow, you need it. In your yoga strap or your towel, whatever you have. So we're going to come down to the floor here, and we're going to start with a little child's pose. So I have my knees by the mat, toes together, hips back. I'm going to walk forward, walking my hands just straight ahead, reaching forward. So I'm thinking about my tailbone being an anchor back here at my feet, and from that anchor, I'm going to lengthen out, starting with my hands straight in front of my body. Put your head down between your arms. I encourage you to do that. I'm going to keep my head up so you can hear me talk. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. We're going to take that to a lateral reach. So take your left hand out to the left side of your mat. Hold on to that mat. Take your right hand across, and then we're going to pull back through that right hip. We're stretching that right lateral side. And then take it over to the right hand on, left over the top, pull back to your left. And then come back up, snake your hips just a little bit deeper if you can. Walk forward one more time to the front. And just really inch your fingers. How far can you reach? Good, and then coming back to all fours. Finding the neutral spine. We're gonna take your right arm up, rotate it up, and then dive it under. The goal is to get the back of your right shoulder on the mat, the back of your head on the mat. And notice your left hand. My left hand is on the floor. It's supporting me a little bit as I work on my rotation. So inhale, exhale, I'm pulling my belly button to the spine. I'm reaching my right fingers towards my left side. But I've got a little pressure through my left hand here, and I'm sending my tailbone back. All those things working together. Get a controlled rotation through the spine and a stretching of that thoracic spine, thoracic space. Good, and then pushing through that left hand, come back up, find all fours. We're gonna go the other side. I'm gonna turn around, so I don't have to talk away from the camera here. Big inhale up, exhale. Goal is to get the back of the shoulder on the mat, back of your head on the mat as well. Reaching those fingers away towards your right. Pull the belly button up and in. At the same time, reach the tailbone, lengthen it. Good, and this time we're pushing up through that right hand to come back up, and we're going to turn over onto our back. All right, so using our towel or yoga strap, whatever you have, and your pillow here at the very end, we're going to come back onto our mat, loop the towel or yoga strap around our foot. We're going to go through our hamstring series really quick. So it's heel over hip, toes to nose, give a tug, keeping the hips still, getting that nice lengthening through the back of the hamstring, a little bit through the calves as well as we pull our toes towards our shin. And as we're doing this yet, I didn't say, I have the strap on my right, I have my pillow on my left. So if you don't have your pillow on your left, go ahead and place it there now. So now I'm going to use that strap or towel, take my leg out to the side, to the right side, same side. Tugging on that strap to get deeper into that stretch if I need it. Good, and using the strap to come back. Now I'm going to turn my toe to the center of my body, keeping the hips anchored on the mat, not lifting that right hip up. I'm going to come across the body. Usually doesn't take very far before I start to feel a stretch on the outer hamstring. Good, coming back to center. I want you to take the strap off of that leg, bring that knee in, and we're going to bring it across and put it on the pillow. So I want your hip over hip here, knee on the pillow, but I want that knee to be as high as your hip, if not higher, right? As then we're going to open up back to that right side. Again, we want that rotation to come through the thoracic spine, not the lumbar spine. So that's why we want that knee tucked up towards our chest here. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And inhale, exhale. Good. Bringing that knee into your chest. Roll onto your back. We're going to take that pillow, bring it to the other side. Okay. Now our strap or our towel is on our left leg. And our hamstring series on this side, heel over hip, straight leg, toes to the ceiling, tugging on that band, feeling that hamstring lengthen. Hold 3 breaths and then take it to the same side. Remember to use the towel strap, whatever you have, to hold up a lot of the weight there. You still want to be active though, that you're reaching your heel away out of your hip here. Good, and then bring it back in. Turn your toes towards your center of your body. Focus on this hip staying flat in the mat. Take the leg across the body. Getting that outer hamstring lengthening. Good, coming back to center. You can take that strap off. Remember, we're going to bring our knee into our chest. Take it across the body. We're going to line up hip over hip. And then we're going to open back up. Try to get that shoulder on the floor if we can. And we can close and open and close and open and one more, close and open. Good, and then pull your knee into your chest, come back to center, hugging both knees into your chest, rock a little side to side, we're pressing that tailbone down. Good, and rock up. I do encourage you to finish with your breathing, but before we get there, I'm going to just show you one more stretch. You can use pretty much anything in your home. I have a high chair here. You can do it on the side of your bed. You can use a chair. But what it's targeting is both hip, hamstring, and that thoracic spine and shoulder, which we all worked on today. So what you're going to do is put your hands on, whether it's the bed, the chair, whatever it is, bringing your feet hip distance apart, maybe even wider. And then we're going to send your hips way, way, way back. Hands stay here. And I can pick up my fingers and spread them wide. Then I can let my head just relax between my arms. And I can shift my hips a little side to side here. So notice how I'm getting a little bit of extension through that thoracic spine, right? We want that extension there. We want that length, that reach. But I'm not letting my belly completely go here. I've got a little bit of tone. I'm pulling that belly button up and in. Think about sending my tailbone away. And then just doing a little rotation through the hips. Just kind of thinking about that ball and socket joint, those long leg bones, just kind of rotating in those sockets as I shift side to side. And then you can take one arm down and look. And then take the other arm down and look. But very much a supported stretch here. I said you should feel it from the shoulder blade, or the shoulders all the way down through the torso, into the hips and hamstrings. You bring one hand down and rotate. Just do what feels good. And whenever you're ready, come back up, roll, and reset. I do encourage you to spend a little time with your breath here, whether it's legs up the wall or just laying flat. Remember, start in the belly, take it to the diaphragm, then the lungs. You want to get away from just that heavy chest breathing to a full belly and diaphragm breath. And I wish everybody a wonderful day.